Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to LEGO DC Supervillains. So we're on Apocalypse, I guess if you know what Apocalypse is. Um, it's been a while since I played the game. I'm definitely not making a lot of progress at 17% done. I've just had a bunch of side projects and distractions lately. And in part it is this game's fault too, in the sense that it has just not really kept my attention. But when we load into Apocalypse, or into this area, uh, there is now a Lego Apocalypse in the loading screen in the corner of the Lego Gotham. Uh, so how did we get on Apocalypse? As I try to remind myself, Lex Luthor tried to betray everybody. No double jump. You know what? That's weird. In particular, because like even like the very first Lego Star Wars game that I played on the Xbox 360, which maybe wasn't the very first Lego game, maybe one of the 3DS games was. But the first one I played, characters definitely had a double jump ability. And I guess they're somewhat limiting that now so that you don't have increased opportunity to get stuck somewhere or reach higher spots. So we have like a whole Mr. Terrific mission here we can get distracted with if we wanted to. And here we have Darkseid, a projector of Darkseid, so not really spoiling the surprise, or not, I guess they are spoiling the surprise, and so they aren't really keeping it as anything special. And what's funny about this is, I guess because the map is smaller, they felt comfortable having the Joker and the two playable characters on the screen.
All this fuss over little old me. How touching.
So these are, I guess, Lego minifig parademons who work on Apocalypse for Darkseid. Meanwhile, you really don't have a lot that you can do here. You just follow the Joker, which is, I guess, very apropos for Harley Quinn. If anything, it feels like this is really just... This feels like this is just the beginnings of a level that just didn't get turned into a level. Because it's going to be very weird to come back here in an open world and end up just beating on a bunch of parademons.
Come on, let's show the owner of this place why they call me the Clown Prince of Crime.
So we're not getting anywhere close, I guess, to this section. So we're going to do a story first. This does highlight a interesting point to make here, that the Joker and Harley Quinn and the Gotham rogues generally do not interact with Apocalypse and the Justice League rogues. If anything, Apocalypse is probably more of a bad guy against Superman than Batman, and Batman's involvement in the Justice League is very separate from his involvement with his Gotham activities. Basically a completely different personality to completely different timeline when Batman's depicted in the Justice League comics versus Batman being depicted in Detective Comics or any other of the other Batman comics. Although in all fairness, Batman is depicted in almost completely separate timelines in all the different Batman comics, and there's very little overlap as far as how these stories could possibly be happening at the same time.
There's no way all these events are coincidental. The Justice League would have heard about this. They should be here right now, but they're not.
We're in a whole heap of trouble.
It means either the Justice League are no more, or what the Syndicate told the world about the Justice League being on a mission wasn't true.
You mean the Syndicate lied? But aren't they heroes?
Let's keep a closer eye on Clarkson. Whatever he reports, we can assume the opposite is true.
Even his article on alligators not being good house pets?
Okay, that one is true. Come on.
So we're still following Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, which I guess that's nice that you can do something with those characters in a video game that otherwise would just ignore them completely. In comparison to like the Lego Marvel superheroes game, things like Aunt May, for instance, support characters like that, really are just were completely ignored. So now, I guess we just have the custom character following us. But it is also weird to have them be yet another group of characters when there's just too many characters for a kid's game already. I mean, this is a lot of characters, even for an adult game, to follow along with, even if they are somewhat recognizable characters. Oops. Guess I can't get up there yet. Guess we're technically in a level at the moment. It's funny how this feels absolutely no different than where we were before.
Seems like I'll need to trick one of those other fools into using this for me. Oh, boy, I sure hope I can say that out loud.
Right. Okay, I think we can use this. Reach here. And then we'll jump up here. And lift that. This is kind of the first time we've even seen even a little bit of acrobatics. So one character has to hold this. Then the next character has to go. And boy, that is a kind of wonky angle. Might be I need the other character. Yeah, it may be that the Joker just doesn't have acrobatic abilities. And I saw that that was a lever. I just didn't see how we were going to get there. Which, that for a kid's game, you probably should make it a little bit more obvious. And then we can break this Omega signal, but we can't do anything like these purple gems for studs, or those purple studs. Then we need the Joker to deface this. I guess he's gonna open the door that way. Yeah, I guess the question really comes down to, would the Joker not just side with Darkseid? Like, Joker being crazy, I mean, you could easily write him one way or the other, where he would work with Darkseid, and then that would be an interesting villain crossover. Or they could eventually betray each other, which would be the typical thing you would do in a story like that. Or Joker could find some crazy reason why he doesn't want to side with Darkseid. So that's very believable too. And then Joker might even work with Batman to defeat Darkseid, if you're going to bring them in. They're both too strong of enemies really to have in the same story. So once again, we're playing this mini game, which was making good progress originally, but then seems like the trick here is probably just a wait on spot until it hovers over. So now we have chlorokinesis and earth access. Which means growing plants, I guess. Which that's not something I really would have expected.
What just happened to Captain Chatterbox?
Collecting more superpowers, I guess. Ain't you been paying attention, Mr. J?
Ooh, superpowers, huh? Okay, Motormouth. Let's see some tricks.
It doesn't really make a lot of sense that you would get this kind of ability on Apocalypse, but whatever. And that is just sprouting Lego plants out of nowhere,
Hey, not bad.
which
I bet Ivy would have been proud of that one.
doesn't really feel like that's in line with the other Lego games. And it definitely feels like you would get chlorokinesis from Poison Ivy, or at the very least you would have her around when you got it as an ability. We have another one of these. This level's a little bit different in that it seems like we are going further and further back instead of staying in circular arena areas, but I really wouldn't be surprised if this is halfway through the level and there's just a boss fight after this. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's very little that happens here, since all the other levels have been incredibly short.
You know, someone really ought to brighten this place up a little.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the whole dark, gloomy lava emoji really works for him.
It might be a case where okay. I was thinking maybe you shrunk, but I don't know how to shrink. Yeah, I don't think you have the capability of shrinking. So, if there's supposed to be something back here, I don't know how you reach that. I could see if maybe this reaches there. Doesn't seem like it though. Maybe these plants are supposed to be like genetically engineered to cause more death and destruction. One of the things that I can't keep straight in my mind between the extreme similarities of Thanos and Darkseid is if Darkseid is the one that is actively in love with death and just trying to kill as many people as possible to as an offering to death, or whether that's Thanos and the Marvel Cinematic Universe adjusted that. Yeah, I think Darkseid might have a little bit more of a reason behind his actions. Instead of just being in love with death. I think it really is. I think it really is Thanos that's the one that's in love with death, come to think of it. Which they give him slightly better reasonings in the Marvel Cinematic Universe than introducing a character to represent death, a personified death character. Right, so seems like very possibly the default is to hold B and then move the left stick. I don't know where he's supposed to be moving. I moved him to the left and that worked by just pressing right, left on the left, so now I'm just gonna press right. Alright, so one seems like it's a gag thing, and the other seems to have opened the path. And there's just no real setup there for why the plant would dance or why I would want to think that's funny. If anything, feels like the kind of gag that you shouldn't run across until you get into extra mode. Yeah, and it's totally possible, I guess, that in this game, like many of the other LEGO games, there's just a ridiculous amount of visual and audio gags that you find in free play mode. But unlike the other LEGO games, I just don't know if your average player, well, I actually do know your average player just wouldn't get that far. So if we start running around the open world and seeing a bunch of like DC in-jokes and it's all very hilarious, that would be great, but it'll be too little too late, almost certainly. I have no idea what we're doing other than we're just working our way towards Darkseid. Fairly obvious, we jumped to a we've jumped to a different sequence here. Guess we're supposed to break this bridge here on its stress. And I guess I'm not supposed to be shooting this Omega signal, even though that's exactly what we've been shooting before. And then we have just like a floating Lego brick. If anything, I think this once again just highlights the absolute desire to have first-person shooting in these Lego games, and just how terribly designed all of that really is. Until they finally just got completely away from their in-house engine and did the Skywalker Saga reboot of the series. And once they started to use the Unreal Engine, which is built around first-person shooting, it's no surprise at that point that you could have much better first-person shooting. You would think that something like this would oh, so you can just hold X here. This would be the place, certainly, where you could get a lot of studs, get a lot of combos going, try and destroy as many things as possible. And you can certainly make your own fun here as much as you want. That being said, though, this is probably going to be fairly basic in that you're just holding down the X button to auto fire and then pressing the B button to destroy silver things. And I was tapping the X button, which that was not working very well.
Relax, Harley. We'll make short work of these particular parties.
It's not like you have a health bar or anything, so and they're throwing back to just controlling and doing Lego things. Although, I guess, in fairness, you could have always swapped with the Y button, apparently. There were, in the original, like, Xbox Lego Star Wars games, there were half of the levels almost were made by a completely different company as far as vehicle levels. And those played completely differently than the other Legos, the other levels, because they were made by a third-party developer, and they were by far the worst part of Lego Star Wars.
My lord, Apocalypse has been brought to Earth via some kind of boom tube overload.
Don't bother him with that, Desaad. The more pressing concern, my lord, is that the prisoners have escaped. They are making their way here as we speak.
Spare us your cowardice, Granny Goodness. No prisoner is a match for Kalibak.
Cowardice! Don't you speak to your elders like that!
Enough. Darkseid is not troubled by such petty news. Now when the anti-life equation will soon be mine.
Anti-life? Ooh, that sounds bad, Mr. J.
The crime syndicate claim they are very close to locating the artifact. Good. Nothing else is of importance.
So yeah, you can see all these extra characters from Darkseid's planet that would need explanation. And then, oh yeah, I guess he's looking for the anti-life equation. So he is trying to...
Justice League when you need 'em.
destroy all life in the universe.
Your prisons couldn't hold us. Joker, what are you doing? Last chance to surrender, Darkseid.
Enjoy your trip.
Superman!
Your escape attempt has been a waste of time.
We've beaten bigger than you before, and we'll do it again.
I'm surprised
As
to
they
see
say
the
on
Justice
your
League
world,
even
You and whose
show
army?
up at this point.
What?
You didn't think this traveling across the galaxy would go unnoticed, did you?
Stop them!
We'll hold Darkseid's legions. You guys regroup at the watchtower. Get the cloud.
So everybody's just gonna escape. So we've way late in the game introduced Darkseid as the real bad guy. We've highlighted that he's looking for the anti-life equation. We've released the Justice League. Yeah, and since we were only at like 17% done with the whole game, I wouldn't be super surprised if all of a sudden now we can play as the Justice League and we do like entire secondary levels that are from a different perspective as the heroes, which that would be weird in a game called DC Supervillains, but yeah. That was only 26 minutes, so we should just continue the story here. So those guys are looking for an artifact to help him get the anti-life equation. And I guess he's from Earth 1.
Continue with your heroic facade and find me the last piece of the anti-life equation. Soon the universe shall be mine.
Bet he does an evil guy laugh now.
If I recall correctly, as being a Fairweather fan, and arguably I wouldn't even call myself a
It's a
fan.
long story for another time.
Okay, Joker, what's going on? Moving
I
planets
think there is a
little out of your
different
league.
dark side in
What? No hug?
in every alternate Earth and
We don't even
alternate
know what the
universe.
anti-life equation is.
Huh? Okay, bad reaction. So what is this anti-life evasion?
The anti-life equation is super powerful. Anyone who learns it would be able to control any planet they choose, perhaps even the entire universe.
Darkseid must think it's on our Earth.
The thing I don't get is why Darkseid didn't invade Earth himself. Why did he take the trouble to replace us?
So our stand-ins, the Justice Syndicate, could search the planet freely and without suspicion.
Funny Batman has all the stubble on his face.
Heroes are back. You can sort this all out, right?
Wrong. I think we might have a problem.
Well, folks, I've got bad news. It seems the Justice League failed in their super-secret mission, which has caused that.
We also have exclusive footage showing that the Justice League have turned bad. Condemnation of the Justice League has been swift.
I mean, I'm surprised Superman and Wonder Woman have turned bad.
Not that Batman, though. I always thought he was kind of dark.
I guess he never let me drive the Batmobile, I suppose. But don't worry, folks.
It's not all bad news, as we're here to help. You're safe with us.
We won't be able to count on assistance from the usual places. We're going to need help from elsewhere.
And shouldn't we try to find Superman?
After all, he has more powers than you, doesn't he, Batman?
No.
Yes! I declare this to be the catch.
System malfunction. Reboot failure. Please call help.
So we're just unlocking the Justice League now, and the Justice League is straight up going to be on the supervillain side.
Things will all
And we are back in the watchtower. So it's probably not too much new here. So that's like the first time we've really had the story explained to us, and it's just crazy. Like, if we were to... We can't bring up the map at the moment, so we can't bring up the list of levels either. It probably would have been a little bit more interesting if the Justice League had started out evil to begin with, or if the Justice Syndicate had depicted, dressed up and looked exactly like the Justice League and pretended to be them. So this is a slightly different built layout.
Malfunction. Reboot. Failure.
This does give us the opportunity to take our custom character and put them on the side of the heroes now. Let's see if we have an affiliation. Nope. See, we're like at 18%, so if we now did as many levels as we have already playing with the Justice League, that might balance things out, but feels like you probably should have some flash forward and flashback sequences. So you would jump between the two different potential storylines. Because effectively now we're just doing a completely different game at this point. And I think they're going to have to really struggle to justify bringing any of the supervillains back.
Computer mainframe damaged. Base. Holographics disabled. Monitor initialization failure. Fail. Power low. Need power upgrade. Error. Power overload.
This is really talking a lot. Let's see what this does. Oh, it cuts the bolt, which really that feels like that shouldn't be the color yellow if that was the case, because Green Lanterns are weak to yellow, and yellow and gold is the domain of this attack, fire attacks. We can drive that vehicle, but only in this small room. We're not even in a level, so finding studs and getting to 2 million is nice and all, but it's not really going to do anything. Okay. So how would I get the Green Lantern through this? Ah, he can travel through these also. Which is weird to have two characters that can access that.
reboot successful. Loading system diagnostics. System scans ready for initialization.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like there's anything else we can do, so let's move the story forward. Audio cutting out so quickly instead of fading out made me afraid that the game was going to crash, but I guess it
Sure, you
didn't.
should be talking to Mr. White like this, Lois?
The Justice League are the good guys. Who was it that
These
got you a last-minute
pre-rendered
gift when you
scenes
forgot
have a
your wife's
lot more
birthday?
Lego stuff in the
Superman.
background.
And let's not forget all the time Cyborg has helped reset your email password. Okay, deal.
Again, this
Come
feels
on.
like this could
If
have
the League
easily
come
just
back and
been
save the day, which
a
they will,
cartoon
I get to do the report, and Jimmy
cutscene.
gets to shoot it. If we're wrong, we'll happily resign.
Why did I have to be dragged into this?
Good luck down there.
Copy that.
I'm the co-pilot.
Give me that back. Now sit there and don't touch anything.
Ooh, what do these do?
Yeah, I'm not really sure anybody knows what the anti-life equation really does, but there's definitely an assumption that it would kill a lot of people.
My people are pretty serious, so Harley, you'll need to be on your best behavior.
Yes, ma'am.
Stand down. I brought outsiders, but you're all under mind control. Who did this?
That would be us.
Granny goodness.
Since we're here, I thought why not recruit a few more of you for my female furies? In fact, I think you'd make a grand addition too. Vermin, bring her to the temple.
But of course. Furious attack.
Sorry, that's the best of my best behavior.
I can live with that. We need to break the mind control on these Amazons.
Oh, yes.
I guess what kind of sucks here is that you're seeing all these DC minifig characters, and odds are you wouldn't be able to get like a Wonder Woman minifig character. I'm not sure there ever was like a set around that.
Let's go teach that granny goodness.
Maybe
some
there was
manners.
one, but it's not like they're consistently releasing
Superpowers, you know.
sets around DC characters, and Lego sets in particular get rare and difficult to find fairly quickly. Are we in the level here? I don't want to get too artsy-fartsy in my criticism here, but it definitely feels like what should have happened is, even with like a basic character like Wonder Woman showing up, it should have probably popped up this Wonder Woman art here that's already in the game, and then popped that up and let you read like about the profile and let you know the character. So yeah, even if that just spun around in circles and flew towards the screen and then disappeared and it said press start now to know who this character is, that would have been useful. We've gotten the names of characters, but until you can actually play as Granny Goodness, who maybe is a boss character, you're not going to be able to figure out what her deal is as a character. And I don't particularly know too much of what her deal is, other than she, I think, trains / brainwashes people to fight for Darkseid, which, like, unlike Thanos in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Darkseid has an entire planet of parademons and warriors fighting on the side. So, yeah. Seems like you can just kind of walk around here. And that's gonna let us build something. And those guys are just waiting for me to either attack them or get really close to them. And once you get someone like Wonder Woman who can fly around, the whole levels stop really mattering much at all, which arguably that is possibly why so many of these these levels are just big round levels, is because maybe not on your first playthrough in the story mode, but once you have a flying character in free play mode, you are just going to run right through them and fly around. It's the first time I think I've ever seen one of those break after pushing it. We can't get to a map, so Themyscira may be a level, or it may be several levels and an open free play world. I guess the question would come down to would they consider Cyborg a man, because like no man is supposed to step foot on Themyscira, I thought, or the world ends or something like that, or at least they're very unhappy about it. I would think they'd consider Cyborg a male.
So I gotta deal with this? It's a good thing I'm awesome.
It would have made a lot more sense to have somebody like Hawkgirl in the group, or even Poison Ivy. I think it would have made a decent amount of sense. For Poison Ivy to be a character throughout the entirety of the levels. So I don't know if you're doing a combination there, or if you just had to hit everything multiple times to light up the different colors. Yeah, I don't know if there's supposed to be some kind of special thing that our characters can do. And these levels definitely are not throwing a lot of enemies at you. I could have easily assumed that they would have just had enemies spawning off screen, attacking you every few seconds, just giving you more action, giving you something more to do in general. Yet that's not the case. You can just be in a frame of the screen and there can just be nothing
Perhaps this
to
catapult
do.
can help us break past their defenses.
Hey, I got something like this back home.
Really? What do you use it for?
You know, getting rid of stuff.
Why do I find that so unsettling?
We all of a sudden have a lot more conversation, it feels like, too, now that the heroes are actually involved. It probably isn't any more conversation, really. It's just that the conversation is perhaps a little bit more important, that's as far as what's being said. And I guess there is also a point where if you were going to have a lot of bad guys in the same room talking, they're going to just all say evil things and bad things.
Whoa, that wasn't exactly pretty.
Yeah, but you can't argue with results. Look, I think I see our way inside.
I suppose on occasion it pays to use an unconventional approach.
Yeah, that conversation was kind of a great example of what I'm talking about there, in that
Got it. Now for a little payback.
they're actually
A far greater challenge lies ahead.
just having general conversation or rebuking Harley Quinn for being too violent.
If you think I can't deal with this kind of thing, well, you're right. But I still don't have to be happy about it.
So this feels to me like what they're trying to do is make Harley Quinn feel kind of like a hero. Which at a certain level, I could see making her an anti-hero type character. Someone who does good things even if they still are fairly violent and kind of bad. But if they were going to do that, then it almost feels like she should have been the main protagonist in every level, which is something I've said before, is that we really should have, this should have been a Harley Quinn game, where she goes from being good to evil, then back to, or evil to good, then back to evil at the very end, I would imagine.
Join our little party, have you?
Vermin Wunderbar.
We do hope you enjoy your stay.
And Granny Goodness. So they even do have names that pop up at this point. So wouldn't it have made a lot more sense to...
If anyone is leaving, it is you.
It would have made a lot of sense more to me to pop that up earlier. And so we're in a big arena. I like the mosaic tile.
The Amazons are no match for us, and you will be the same.
These Amazonians are just generic cookie cutter characters with different hair pieces, I guess. Doesn't feel like we're gonna get enough studs though. If anything, we're not really looking for but we're not looking to get like true villain as much as we're just trying to get enough studs to potentially buy things later. Alright, so I just knocked him off the ledge. I'm not sure I was supposed to be able to do that. It's also kind of funny that
I'd like to see you try and take us down.
it's funny that Harley Quinn has these like skates and moves faster than the cyborg does. And Granny Goodness is just like sewing patchwork characters, which I don't know if that has anything to do with what actually happens in the comics or not.
That's enough. You've had your fun, but now it is over.
I don't think so, Granny.
I don't know if this isn't maybe just playing into the Granny gimmick.
Is
I assume we're not going to complain about hitting an old lady.
It's time to meet your demise. Now, I'll make you pay for your insolence.
I do believe when they show Apocalypse, it isn't just this like evil hell-like world that is run by evil people with no motivation other than being evil. There is some attempt, I think, to actually give them a backstory and reasoning.
You're stronger than you look, but that won't save you.
And it's not a great attempt, I would say. And at a certain level, Apocalypse does just look like a hell equivalent world. But in the Marvel Universe, there is already a devil in Mephisto, and probably a couple other devils, and then there's Edragon, an actual demon. That heartbeat sound effect is
Granny
annoying.
Goodness took us by surprise. Granny Goodness is an agent for a much darker power. If Darkseid succeeds, the whole universe is in danger.
When we are needed, simply call.
You got a cell number?
Better than that, you never lose signal. Did you bring a man here?
And so now what would this one be?
Can't be trusted these days. Ra's al Ghul, Deathstroke. We need your help to defeat that. Help the Justice League. Your league may be coming to an end, but ours has survived throughout the ages. Nothing will change.
The League of Assassins is what he's talking about. So I guess we have Batman collecting more bad guys.
Like I'd ever join the likes of you. You're even more ridiculous than I first thought.
I don't feel like Deathstroke.
If we can get through to Deathstroke, show him the danger the Darkseid poses to the world, he might convince Ra's al Ghul to help us.
I don't know, Bats. I mean, does someone with the name Deathstroke sound like the kind of guy who'd be willing to listen to reason?
Yeah. I don't know if Deathstroke ever really worked for Ra's al Ghul in the League of Assassins. And here we have Flash moving really fast. And we're still in the same level. It's just now we are in a completely different location. Again, can't bring up the map.
This won't take me long.
So is he going back in time? Doing this mini game again? Guess we've done this before. I think we have to get all the pieces before we can be finished. So it's not like there's extra collectibles in this. So we're running in the Speed Force. This is a cool idea, but it's an idea that really you can only use with speedsters. So unless the full game was going to center around the Flash a lot more, it's a feature that you would have had to try to figure out a way to emulate for other characters. Again, it broke.
You're still here? Do you actually enjoy wasting your time?
So yeah, the game has just all of a sudden become very much a linear experience
Pretty sure this place is probably loaded with traps.
as far as the levels, and no open world mini section. I'm waiting. I got destroyed and then I couldn't do anything until it decided to respawn me. I guess we're assuming that, I believe her name is Talia, is not playing a role in this story, and that she hasn't gotten pregnant with Damian, Batman's, or yeah, I guess Batman would be the right term to use there, his biological son. That is a story that really just highlights how one writer decides to make a big impact by giving Batman a son, and then all of a sudden you have yet another Robin, yet another son of Batman that people have to consider including in their story. The whole Robin characters and Jimmy Olsen both really designed
Someone else will need to try.
for an old way of telling stories, in the sense that you have... Can I do anything here? Seems like I could break that, but it's struggling. Then I don't think anybody has the plant abilities. Yeah, the kid sidekick concept is really just not something that's necessary in telling stories these days, which has made Jimmy Olsen and the Robins have to be completely different experiences. I did notice when we first were starting this level that I had half a heart of health, which doesn't really mean anything because you just auto regenerate pretty easily. But it wasn't making that thumping sound that the enemies have when they're at half a heart, so it seems silly to say the least that there's such a prominent thumping sound when fighting bosses.
But you have to admire the craftsmanship.
Kind of feels like you don't even control the characters when they're transitioning for a second.
Made it this far, have you?
There he is. I'll go after him.
No, Flash. Deathstroke might be trying to trick us into acting irrationally.
And I just suspect...
These guys, huh?
Yes, and it took me a long time to fully learn that. Let's find a way to repair the bridge.
We'll end up in another boss fight. I wonder if this is supposed to be Kunra, if that's the right location. This level is getting a little long, considering we spent 20 minutes on the previous level. So it seems like both Joker and Batman have remote controlled objects. It's interesting that you had to break something to reach to get the Lego studs to then build something. I'm not sure kids would have figured that out if they just overlooked the background section. Then you have another Lego bridge. We've seen some decent designs as far as Lego bridges, Lego ladders.
Proceed with caution.
Arguably, all the Lego games probably could have a lot better, a lot more variety in things built with Legos, and just there should be more Lego buildings, Lego statues, Lego sets that are very recognizable. And noticeably, they've never used really recognizable Lego sets that much. Maybe the ships from the Lego Pirates of the Caribbean game are fairly close to the Lego Pirates of the Caribbean sets in the real world. But I would say that's about it.
I'm impressed with your stubbornness.
Most of the real world Lego DC sets are smaller little play sets for little kids, so there isn't a lot of really good ones. I do have a, I think, 1960s era Batmobile set that is pretty decent, but that's about the only Marvel or DC sets I have at all. I need to find Batman, but I have no idea where he is. He's stuck over here. Pathfinding's pretty bad still.
I don't remember us parking it here. Not upside down, anyway.
Deathstroke appears to be waiting for us. Let's see if we can use the bat rocket to get across.
I guess the bat rocket is not the bat plane, or they have multiple bat planes. This is an example of something that could have been a set, or at least it's throwing back to a vehicle, but then they're using it in a creative way here in a more traditional Batman or Lego level, instead of forcing us to get in the bat rocket and say do a whole chase sequence.
So many ninjas!
I needed to test your conviction. Many people would have just left.
Well, I'm not many people. I'm Batman.
We are yours.
Now that's how you make an exit.
He does it all the time. It can get a little tiring.
We have located where Superman landed. We
So,
are en route now.
now we've got Green
Sure,
Lantern
your seat is in the upright position as we are preparing
and
to
somebody
land.
else in some spaceship.
Dinosaur
Aquaman?
Island.
Huh? How do you figure that?
I thought you might come to try to find your Man of Steel. I, Caliban, General of Darkseid, have need of him. I'm afraid I cannot allow you to take him.
Allow us? What have you done with Superman?
Prepare to be history. Let's see if
So he's on a
that's what it takes to defeat
Lego
a mighty Caliban.
dinosaur.
Have I mentioned how much I am enjoying being back on Earth?
Yeah, not the homecoming
We're
I was expecting either.
once again on a checkpoint, and once again just in a story. It's like the game is rushing towards the end here. Well, I assume the story's going to end here. fairly quickly.
You still believe you can win?
But yeah, it definitely feels like if this game was a finished product, which I don't feel like it is, and unfortunately I've had to say that about far too many LEGO games, is that they're either buggy or unfinished. It would seem like you would have introduced each of these characters and given them 2 or 3 separate levels to hunt them down and fight them. Instead, we just have this arena sequence where we're running around, being attacked and trying to pick up studs. Dinosaur Island is a location, although I think it's called the Savage Lands, but maybe that's in the Marvel universe. At some point, dinosaurs would have definitely been popular in comics, so you would have some excuse as to how you can have.
You meager mortals have no idea the fate that awaits you.
Seems like he's.
Sure did. The good news is I think we can use them. You say so.
So is robot dinosaurs.
Should have enough charge left in my ring for this.
Makes a big hammer and knocks him down.
That did it. Now for some payback.
And so now we've got a couple of attacks, although it seems like it's just a tail attack either way. Like, A does not jump, Y swaps characters, X breaks that with your tail, B breaks it with your tail. I guess it says that even on the screen, that B and X does the exact same thing. So I guess the idea definitely would have come down to eventually having more fights like this. You can't really break things if they're too close to you. And you're moving fairly slow here.
You may think you've gained the upper hand, but the battle is far from over.
Wow, someone sure is stubborn today.
I just don't think I would.
I've been waiting for this. The chance to defeat the Justice League. Now you'll feel my wrath.
Aquaman's probably not going to prove to be very useful. We can just kind of like laser him.
No! Blast this useless piece of technology!
You see there you get the thump 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 thump. And that's not because my health is low so much as because his health is low. Which is weird. Really slow building section there. And I guess some new abilities to absorb. That may just get me slightly enough studs to get the true supervillain.
Hey, our quiet
I'm
friend
like
is doing
250
Looks
points
like the
short.
energy is being drained directly into them.
So now we have telekinesis as an ability. So fairly obviously,
You can't do this.
we're gonna get
Calabac can never be.
like all the abilities in our one custom character, which that's not a terrible concept to throw into a Lego game as a new idea.
And I don't think we've properly
I
met.
just feel like it needs
What's your name, friend?
a better story around it and a actual name to your character instead of them being a custom character, an actual voice.
Longer in the sun, and I'll be back to full strength.
Can you soak up those rays any quicker, Superman? Looks like we might need your power sooner than we thought.
What is that? Dark side.
So this level is the one with the T-Rex mech, was the name of it. We didn't get true supervillain. We are at over 2 million. But some of the red bricks easily could be 10, 20 million to unlock. So our best hope would be the one red brick. How did I get a red brick before? It must have been on Themyscira, solving the puzzle with all of the bells. That must have given me a red brick. That is just a massive amount of characters we unlock too. I think the remaining of the Justice League have now been unlocked. With maybe the exception of Superman. And then some of the DLC characters, or new 52 variants of characters, may also be unlocked. Well, let's see what this final cutscene is. Where this takes us.
Jimmy, get as many shots of this as you can. Finally, I get a
And
real
then we'll
story
end
to
this
report on.
episode.
People of Earth, I have come for your war. Resistance is futile. Your defeat is inevitable. Who here dares resist?
We do.
Interesting that you have
I'm going to enjoy this.
farmer with a chicken show up there.
Hey, those guys are not getting knocked off world.
It looks like Darkseid is pulling his punches.
They put up. They're holding up a wrestling ring.
I am defeated.
Did he just throw the fight?
Looks that way. So he's made the imposters more popular than ever?
So they can keep looking for the anti-life equation, and we can't warn anyone.
Joker.
It's funny the
we'll need
music
you
is
and
still
your friends.
playing right now.
What gives, Bats?
The world
Probably
thinks
would
the
have been
crime syndicate
better
are
if it.
heroes. So, if they want to be the good guys, I guess we'll just have to be the bad guys.
What do you say?
Leave it to me. If I can get them to stop arguing for 5 minutes, we're in.
Well, I say we should try to start our own.
Can we pretend to be heroes?
Don't be stupid.
I think
There's
we should
twice
ask
as many
Lex
as
for
there was
help.
already. We've got work to do. Reverse Flash, Grundy. I can hardly believe it, but it looks like the Justice League are working with us. Can you two head across to the Hall of Justice and meet up with Joker and Harley? You think you can take the reins on this one, Thawne?
I'll get him there, don't worry. Come on, you big lummox. Yet more proof that only I deserve to be the one true speedster.
So there we get Clark Kent and Superman. Alright, let's walk out here. Head to Star Labs to purchase and activate red brick experiments that you've unlocked. So you still have to purchase them after finding the red bricks. So yeah, that was a long level there. Like, we did Apocalypse WoW and the one with the T-Rex mech, and there's 3 more main story levels it looks like, and then possibly some extra story levels or DLC levels that only unlock after the story is finished. And then there's this extra DLC content that looks like we could do at any point. We haven't been trying to do any of the challenges since all of that seems like that is going to be open world stuff. And at some point we will have to get to Apocalypse and do open world stuff in Apocalypse, but I'm assuming that we're not going to a 3rd location as far as interesting. Left toggle changes the map layer. Interesting. So up here is the watchtower, but from the watchtower location you can't get to Apocalypse. So I don't know why you would have this extra thing as far as all of this is set up. We still, however, are only at 20%. There's just going to be obviously a massive amount of stuff that unlocks by during the free play of the overworld and free play of the levels that are going to give us more percentage points. And it's a daunting number. We can also see that there's still a significant number of characters that we would have to unlock through probably over open world stuff. My assumption here is that we probably won't run into any more characters in the main story because they've already introduced too many characters for the main story anyways. And yeah, I don't think that the kids game would have Darkseid find the anti-life equation and that would create some major crisis of some sort, to use a comic book DC term. So I assume what we're going to do is we're going to pretend to be bad guys and do some crimes for a couple levels, and then we'll take out the Justice Syndicate and take out Darkseid, and that'll be it. If anything, that seems fairly obvious because each level will just be somewhat small levels, even though the last level was long by basically being 3 levels squashed together. They still were very small as far as things to interact with and places to go. So yeah, we may just have 3 small levels that all end in boss fights. Yeah. And I guess I don't have anything else more to say. We're just chugging along on this game. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. There are social media links and support links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.